Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. Today I've got 5 replays in the tier 10 Warhammer 40,000 premium heavy tank, the Rogal Dorn. Now if you do like the video, as always, don't forget to like and subscribe down below, as it really does help out the channel. And yes, the Rogal Dorn. Now I've had quite a few people asking, you know, because obviously this tank is only available until tomorrow at 11 UTC, so tomorrow being Thursday the 13th. It's only available until 11 UTC on Thursday, same as all the other Warhammer tanks. I've had quite a few people asking, since naturally it's now at its 50% discount, so it's now worth, what, 11,000 something in the store, I believe it is, 11,460 gold, which is still a hell of a lot of money for a premium tank in this game, but it's obviously the cheapest you'll ever get this tank, so it depends if you want it or not. Do I still have the same opinion of this tank as when I made the tank review? Because naturally when I made the tank review, I'd only had, what, 3 hours experience of playing it. I still played about 15 games in it at that point, but I'm at now the point where I've played about 36 games in it, which is, you know, a good amount of experience more in it. And do I still have the same opinion of it? And I really do. My experience hasn't really changed that much with the Rogal Dorn. It is still an immense damage. This thing puts out damage with this gun combo that you're seeing here very, very quickly. The damage it puts out is mental. Like, it is extremely powerful in how fast it can turn the damage out, pretty much. But it is exceptionally slow. It is an exceptionally slow tank, which means that you have to get to the fight. When you do get to the fight and the fighting happens around you, the damage you put out, like I say, is insane. Like, the numbers you can put up in a short space of time is mental. And I do think it is probably a little bit too strong in that regard for this package, in the fact that your damage can be the output is immense. The churn out is great. But obviously you have to get to the fight, because it is very, very slow. With the build that I run on this vehicle, it does only go at 33 kilometers an hour, and it is very slow at getting there as well, because you have basically no power to weight, which means when you hit the hills and stuff like that, they are your worst enemy, and it's not a very fun time trying to get up hills, because you only tend to go at like 8 kilometers an hour, which is pain. Also, the armor on this tank is good, but if it's almost like super Pershing good, right, where the armor's actually, it's pretty good, you know, it's thick, and it works. But when someone knows what they're doing, your armor means very little, because they know exactly where to pen you, because the lower plate is obviously pretty easy to pen, as long as you have about 190 to 200, it's probably about 200 pen at a base. Your lower plate is going to be very easy for most tanks to pen, and seeing as most tier 8s tend to have that already, they will go straight through your lower plate. You've got to be careful of that. Plus, your cupola on top of the tank is also pretty easy to hit, although with this gun package, the gun mantler actually has a lip of spaced armor that actually does protect your cupolas quite well as well. You do have that issue with the armor, that it is just basically, if people know how to take it out, it's going to struggle. And obviously, being as slow as you are, sometimes you're going to get into a fight, go, haha, hello, I'm finally here, and your armor just means nothing. But the fact that you can dish out this kind of damage is also very, very scary in a way as well, because you just go, hello, tank, I'm just going to launch a 700 alpha round at you, and then auto-load your face, because you've got 182 penetration on the standard on the 4-shot autoloader, which is really damn effective. So what do I run in terms of a crew and a commander? I run Born Leader, Rapid Reload, Sixth Sense, Situational Awareness, Track Mechanic, Steady Aim, Run and Gun, Rapid Aim, Clutch Braking, and then in terms of equipment, the Advanced Loader, the Traction System, and the Optics. Optics to be able to spot for myself and get myself up to that 512 meters of view range. You could quite happily run Vents instead of that if you wanted to. The Traction System to give me better track traverse. I'm not even looking for the top speed, if I'm honest, on this tank. I'm looking for the track traverse. And the Advanced Loader to make the DPM 10% better as always. Rapid Aim to make the turret traverse better, because the turret traverse is really terrible, and you can get the turret traverse up to 21.89 degrees a second with Rapid Aim on this vehicle. And the clutch braking to make the track traverse better, to get it up to 21.58 degrees a second, in line with the the traction system as well. And then the steady aim and run and gun to make the gun better, as you always want to do. So that first game you saw there, we finished with 4 kills, 7.8k damage, 1658 assistance, with the first class, the Steel Wall, the High Caliber, and 1730 base XP. A really nice game there in the Rogal Dorn, platooned up with Turkey. And yeah, again, that was one of those games where once we come across people, their death came very swiftly, because they just, in the blink of an eye, all their hit points were gone. And that's what this tank does, because you've got 245 penetration on this standard AP round. you don't really struggle to pen that much, but if you do, you can then just switch to the APCR, I think it is. To be honest, I don't know if it is. It's one of those things. It says it's APCR, but I don't actually know if it is APCR or just Premium AP or something like that, because there is nothing in this game to say whether something is Premium AP or not, right? It's just listed as APCR. But it has the Premium APCR, which also has 332 penetration on your premium round, which is fantastic, absolutely fantastic, and it means you will pen everything you're going to face, which is glorious. It's a glorious thing for this gun, which is why I probably prefer this gun more over the double barrels. Also, the double barrels, even though they're technically slightly more accurate, actually don't really feel like it. This gun feels phenomenal, which is why I don't run the traction system, because this gun is fantastic. Without it, you got 0.63 accuracy during rotation and 1.52 accuracy during movement with this build that I have, which means that the gun doesn't bloom out that much at all, really, and you really don't feel the 2.85 second aim time that you have, which means you don't have to worry about it that much, which is why I don't run the gun stabilizer, because I feel like it doesn't bloom out that much at all, and I can just focus on making other stuff better, and that's why I run the traction system. And again, it's not even for the top speed. It's not for the 3 kilometers an hour extra top speed that you get out of the traction system. It's literally just for the track traverse, giving you that extra track traverse, because it is so slow to turn. This tank is very, very slow, and I need to get that across to you because it is so slow, which means that if games do go quickly and they happen on the opposite side of the map, the same as any other kind of super heavy tank, you're not going to get there. You're not going to have much fun because you're not going to do anything, which is definitely pain for something like the Rogal Dorn. But like I say, oh boy, if the fight does happen in front of you and something does get into your gun line, oh, it's going to die, and it's going to die super swift, because having that nearly 3,000 DPM on this 700 Alpha gun, mixed in with then having the auto-loading, well, I think it's called the Rogal Dorn auto cannon. So the auto-loading 4-shot gun, which has 240 Alpha each shot. And as you see in here with the M60, you just start pushing out the damage very, very quickly. And sometimes there's not much that the enemy tanks can do. And we are going to face a Lehman Russ here, which is kind of interesting, because the Lehman Russ is far more tricky to pen than the Rogal Dorn is. The Rogal Dorn is actually fairly easy to pen if you know where you're penning and you know what the strength of, well, you know, your own penetration, right? Because the other thing is the sponsons on the side of the Rogal Dorn are 250 millimeters of thickness. They're 250 millimeters of thickness, and they are modelled as flat boxes. So you're looking at the Lehman Russ directly in front of us. He has sponsons that are a little bit more armoured, but also that extremely angled in the actual armor model, which means they are a lot harder to pen than my sponsons are. If you have about 268 penetration, you are more than a 50-50 to go through those side sponsons, and that makes it, again, pretty easy to take out the Rogal. The problem with the Rogal is, obviously, if you try and take it out, it's going to dish out. If you're not careful, a lot of your hit points will also disappear in the blink of an eye. You've got to be very, very savvy with how you want to take this thing out. And having faced quite a few of them now, because there are still quite a lot of them out there on the battlefield, because naturally the 50% discounts there now, people are starting to pick it up. Having faced it, it is very, very easy to take out, and naturally because it's also exceptionally slow, unlike the Lehman Russ, because the Lehman Russ is actually pretty nippy at 38 kilometers an hour with the build that I tend to run on the Lehman Russ, and it turns quite quick as well. The Lehman Russ can get about, it can shift. This thing really can't. If this thing dedicates itself to a flank and dedicates itself to a push, if that push ain't right, it's not going to go well for you and Mr. Rogal. So one of the other things that this tank has is 7 degrees of gun depression with this gun package. Now, if you do run the double barrel package, which I do think is a worthy option, but for me, I just prefer how good this gun package is. If you do run the double barrel, you do get 10 degrees of gun depression, which is obviously a lot nicer than the 7 degrees that this thing gets. But you do lose that little bit of spaced armor on the gun manlet that does protect the cupolas on top as well, so it's something to bear in mind. But you do have the ability to use the double barrel and have the double barrel Lehman Russ gun, which can then dish out 1,000 damage if both shells hit and pen. I'm not going to show that in these 5 replays because, like I say, I don't use it. I just don't. And again, this is where the Rogal's multi-weapon system is so damn handy. This Super Conqueror got tracked. We put in 700 Alpha with our main cannon and then slapped out 3 shells into his lower plate because 182 pen can pen a lot of different plates in World War II Tier 10. There's a lot of different places that you can pen. There's a lot of different tanks that you will be able to pen quite easily with that, and it's kind of handy to have that autocannon to be able to just dish out the damage. And I think that's one of the things that you've got to think about with the Rogal, is that, yes, I do think that this is probably a little bit too good, the damage output potential of the Rogal with this package. But at the same time, this tank is so slow that if it doesn't have this damage potential, it's probably not really going to do much, you know? So it's one of those things. I'm still not really sure on that, but I do think that this damage potential is nutty. And you've just seen it on the Super Conqueror again. We put a shot with the main cannon straight through and then finished him off with the autocannon, because we can do that. And we're now looking for shots down at the E50 and the Type that's directly in front of us. We've still got the premium loaded. We don't really need it at this point for the E50. Handy for the Type 4, though, to be fair. We did have it loaded for the Lehman Russ because 245 penetration on our standard round was never going to go through a Lehman Russ, except for going through maybe the Cupola, which we could shoot down on. Now we've got an AAT-60 coming behind us, and it's like, Mr. AAT-60, you've made mistakes, sir. You should have carried on going, because I'm just going to lever you up, shoot you in the top of the roof, and again, that's where the main cannon, autocannon, can be handy, because we put the big 700 alpha shell in, and then shot him with the autocannon. We put a shot into the side of the E50 with the autocannon, just looking for the shot into his lower plate again, and unfortunately we bounced there. He's still been a thorn in our side. We can't quite find the shot in. We just need a little bit of help from our team, because we have been outnumbered. This is the thing, though, that this tank is quite good for. And that is, even though we've been outnumbered, because of the damage output, we are Gucci in terms of dealing with them, because we can just keep the damage a-rolling non-stop. And that is, let's say, one of the great things for the Rogal. So we tried to pop 2 blind shots at the STRV, and sadly for me, the machine came out of nowhere from behind us and shut us down. I was hoping that maybe someone would come and help us, but it didn't happen. And finished with the 5 kills, the 6.8k damage, 1600 assistance, the first class, the high caliber, with that 1732 base XP. A nice game there for the Rogal Dorn on Arctic region, which again, that just showed its damage output. And even in that sort of situation where we were outnumbered for some points of that, the scare factor. The scare factor of this tank, the damage it shuts out is like, whoa, you know? It is a mad time. And because you've got that reload down at, what, 14 second reload, pretty much, for that main cannon for 700 alpha, it is really, really nice. And the penetration is really nice. The gun handling's fantastic. You just have to be aware that you are so exceptionally slow. And that, you know, like I say, sometimes you're going to come across someone that knows what to do against the Rogal Dorn, and they are going to shoot you, and they're going to pen you quite easily, and you're going to be like, but my armor felt great in the last game. This game, though, it feels boo. And that's just, yeah, no, that's going to be the Rogal Dorn. Because one of the things that you're going to know with shooting at this Rogal Dorn, I mentioned it in the tank review, is that if you shoot the lower plate, do not shoot it really low down, because obviously the further down you shoot the lower plate, the more angled it is getting, because it's angled downwards. So if you're shooting at it, you can see the sticky outy bit that is the lower plate that is 180 millimeters of thickness. So you want to shoot that at the highest point of that sticky outy bit that we could see there on the front. If you shoot it at the highest point, you will pen it most of the time with just more than 200 pen. And like I said, that's doable quite easily for most tier 8s and all tier 9s and 10s, really. Which is something that the Lehman Russ is not, because the Lehman Russ, for quite a few tier 8s that have no penetration, or low penetration, I should say, even for their premium rounds, the Lehman Russ is a royal pain to penetrate, because that thing's armor is mental. Like, it is so good. There are weak spots to shoot, like the gun on the front that you saw us shoot in the first game, but it's just a very, very awkward tank to pen, and because that's also got a good gun with good DPM, it will also shred you pretty easily as well. It's just that the Lehman Russ has very low penetration on its standard and its premium, realistically, as well. Which is something you've got to bear in mind with the double barrel, because this tank, obviously, this gun has 245 pen and 332 on its standard and premium, right? Whereas on the double barrel and on the Lehman Russ gun, you have 232 penetration on the standard and 304 on the premium, which is a lot lower than this gun. So something to bear in mind, that you do struggle to pen a fair few tanks with it. So you've just seen the strength of the Rogal Dorn in its damage output right there. Right there. Good night, Mr. Waffle Panzer 4. Good night, Mr. E4 as well. Well, we didn't shut down the Waffle Panzer 4, but we took most of his hit points. Just like that. And the E4 also got absolutely shredded by this tank. We managed to block 3k as well because we had it at an awkward angle. We're up to 2,010 damage on 702 assistance. And we are just going to try and push the tempo here and try and get as close to these tanks as possible. Because, like I say, this tank is so slow that if you stop for too long in a position, the game will pass you by, and that's not a good time for you. So you can see I'm still being wary of the Waffle Panzer 4. There he is. We switched to the autocannon because we don't need the big gun to shoot it. We turn our attention to the 13105, finish him off with the main cannon. There's a King Dragon over there that I can pen with the autocannon. 182 pen against a 705, unless I get his drive wheel. The likelihood is I'm not going to pen that, but this guy is still sitting in a position where he's given us his drive wheel, which we managed to track and pen. We blow it off again, and once again, is where that damage potential is mental, because we tracked him in place. We did set him on fire because we've got a big gun, and then we used the autocannon, retracked him, and finished him off with it. Because once we'd hit him with the main cannon, the damage wasn't stopping there. We were ready to go. The damage was flying. And that's what the tank does. That's pretty much what the tank does. So we get spotted by the King Dragon. We try and pop the shot on the move, but sadly that shot actually misses. Let's say most of the time this gun doesn't feel that bad even on the move, but yeah, we missed that one on the King Dragon. The artillery gets a shot into us, and I'm thinking about this T-57 Heavy and the TD that's down below. I want to help my team get rid of those guys before turning to the guys behind us, because I don't want these guys to kill them and then, you know, me turn around and have them shoot me in the ass. So finish off with the 704 with the main cannon. The T-57 Heavy drives out, and it's like, hello, Mr. T-57 Heavy. I still have an auto-loader, sir. He gets tracked in front of us, so we keep the shots flying, and we put a shot into his engine deck, which sets him on fire, and I don't need to use the main cannon to finish him off, because he just burns out. And that T-57 Heavy got tracked in the worst place, because we've got 182 pen on this secondary weapon, we quite happily destroyed him. I mean, this is realistically one of the first tanks in World War II to come with a secondary weapon system that is pretty always useful, because I'd say that the secondary weapon system on the OI, for example, is pretty useful, because at that tier, the penetration on the OI's secondary weapon system, I believe, is what? On its premium penetration, 122? I think it is, which means that you can pen a lot of tier 6s with 122 pen if you shoot that. I mean, there's quite a few tier 5s and 6s that are firing with 122 pen as standard anyway, so you can use that. So that as a multi-weapon system tank or a multi-turret system tank in World War II is pretty useful. But those same guns on the ONI and on the OHO and on the Type 5, Type 4, not very useful. The mouse is kind of handy with its multi-weapon system, because while the E100s isn't that great because it's got heat as prem and it loops and it's only got like 87 penetration, that's not that handy. But the mouse, however, fires APCR on its multi-weapon system, which means you've got pretty decent velocity on its 75mm, and it has 130 penetration on its premium, which means, again, when you're facing a lot of lightly armoured tanks like Leopards, MX-30s, etc., etc., you can deal with those tanks. But again, when you start to go against stuff like Super Conquerors, you know, all those types of tanks that have fairly weakish lower plates to about 160 pen, 170 pen, they don't, you know, the mouse can't do much about it. But this tank, you can. As you already seen when we did face down that Super Conqueror, we could keep tracking and penning him with the autocannon. And then when we did have a shot at his lower plate, it was quite easy to go through as well. And that's where this tank's multi-weapon system is so deadly. So we've got one tank left on the enemy team. It is this artillery. He's in a position that I have no idea how he's got there. He must have got there through these tanks, where these tanks are trying to get up. I don't know how he's got there, but he's in a very, very awkward spot. And the only thing we can do is realistically sit and wait for him to make a mistake, drive out in front of our gun, and we'll finish him off. And that's exactly what he's done. He actually got unspotted there, but we put the shot in, finished him off for our 6th kill of this game. And we finished the game with the victory, the 6 kills, 7.6k damage, 1,577 assistance, Ace Tanker Pascucci's, the Top Gun, the Steel Wall, the High Caliber, and the 1821 base XP. Really nice game there for the Rogal Dorn on a map that I absolutely detest, Pearl River. And yeah, we got Pascucci's as well because we killed one artillery there, because They've lowered the requirements for Pascucci's. The reason they've done that, because I've seen a lot of questions for that, is because you don't see 2 artillery in a game anymore, which meant that you couldn't actually ever get the Dimitrius. So they've lowered the requirements for the Pascucci's, which does devalue the Pascucci's a little bit, but at the end of the day, you've never ever got a Dimitrius. So, I don't know on that one, really. But that's because, again, you don't see 3 RT in games anymore, you only see 2. But we're on to the 4th replay of this video. There's only, if you're still with us, fair play to you, GG. You get a cookie. Although, disclaimer, I'm not giving out the cookies. You know what you have to do to get a cookie? And to get a cookie, you just got to go to the latest video of the Randy Duck and comment, "Give me a cookie." And then he'll have to supply them. Yes, I'm palming you off on Randy. Go to Randy. Get a cookie off him. I digress. We're on this map, which is Pearl River. Yes, it's Pearl River. This is actually a game I had on stream. Was it not last week, the week before? And what we're going to do is push to the position at K3 and then see if we can get hull down there at K3 and then just push down that line in general and try and attack down the 1-2. We get a shot on the move into the Rhinoceronte. And we switch the autocannon because, again, if we had the side of the Rhinoceronte, we could actually pen that as well with the autocannon. Again, it's such a very, very useful tool for the Rogal Dorn. But that Italian tier 10 heavy tank is out of the game. There is 3 tanks already dead on their team, 2 tanks already dead on our team because there was a bit of a brawl for the middle. And we're now going up against a raid boss, the E4. We've loaded premium. We needed the 334 premium in case we get shots at the lower plate of that E4. Because if we get shots at the lower plate of that E4, we'll be able to pen it with standard. I meant the turret. We'll get there in the end, brain. Well played, bro. So yeah, what I meant was, autocannon, by the way. Good night, Mr. 430. That's, again, where that is really, really handy. I've loaded the premium for the machine gun port on top of the E4. If he was to get hull down on that lip in front of us over there, if I fired standard for 245 pen, I would not pen it. But if I go for his lower plate, I'll go straight through it with both rounds. But if I go for his machine gun with the premium, I'll go through that as well on the top of his turret, and that means I'll actually be able to deal with it. But even then, with 334, it's still like a 50-50 to penetrate the machine gun port on top of the E4, which is absolute pain. And yeah, I wish that they'd nerf that on top of the E4 back to what it used to be, because it's just, yeah, it's a silly, silly tank, really. But we are facing off against this E4, and I'm baiting him right now. I'm like, shoot my track. Shoot the track, E4. Come on. Shoot the track. Yes! He shot the track. Right, we're going to go use... Because with our 182 penetration on our autocannon, we can go through the lower plate of an E4. We can do it. So we've penned him for 700, and now we're just using the autocannon to finish him off, and there goes the American Tier 10 Tank Destroyer. And again, just how deadly this tank is in a pinch in a short space of time is right there. We put a shot into the 3105 as well, and we're up to 3.7k damage in the blink of an eye. T55A is coming after us. He ends up fluffing his shot into the floor. Just waiting on the main cannon to be loaded so that we can put a shot into this T55A. And with 182 penetration on the autocannon as well, we can go through this guy's low plate. But we go through the shot? No, we go for the shot there on him, and then sadly it derps. We do get one shot with the autocannon though into the Waffle Panzer IV, and I'm like, hang on a minute. Mr. 13105, are we okay? No, he's not okay anymore. And we get rid of that French Tier 10 light tank. I don't know what that guy was thinking, but again, autocannon comes in clutch. So we're going to push down the 1-2 because at this point it's still fairly level. It's 8-7, which, you know, the Leopard's losing it. Oh, it's 7-7 now. This game is in the balance, but I want to clear out the tanks that are defending their cap, and then I can think about going back to possibly cap, I should say, defend our cap, or attack the middle, because there is 2 or 3 tanks in the middle, which is something we've got to be very, very careful of if we're attacking down here. I know the Waffle Panzer IV was somewhere along this road, so that's what we're aiming to try and find, but we actually find a 268. Thankfully, he bounced off our upper plate. The T95E6 bounces on our side as well, but he just got away before we could use the autocannon there on him. The T28, the 268, pulled back as well, because he's realised he's got a medium tank friend that's going after him. The TD is currently spotted, though. The Waffle Panzer 4 is currently spotted at the end of the road. And I'm thinking, well, this is perfect, because Waffle Panzer 4, I'm happily going to take this guy out, because I can smash him with the main cannon. As you saw, 690, straight through. The Teeth Breaker's trying to get shots at us, so I try and get the RBRT with the autocannon, and sadly, the shell doesn't go near, and he ends up running away. But yeah, we managed to snap the shot into that Waffle Panzer 4. The main cannon's loaded. Go for the turret shot straight through and finish off that German Tier 9 tank destroyer with our gun. And as you can see, we're on the move. Full chat. The gun handling on this tank is still really, really good. A PTA is above us. So what I want to do is basically leverage myself up higher. So we're going to use the ridgeline to our advantage. Switch to the autocannon because I don't need to use the main cannon to finish off the Leopard PTA. And we finish him off there with the autocannon. We did get tracked by the Teeth Breaker. We tried to snap the shot again into that E6, but sadly it just misses. And then we didn't quite get the shot in with the autocannon either. There's 2 tanks left on the enemy team. There's the E6 and the M48 in the middle. So we're going to reload the autocannon and then switch back to our main cannon. The reason we're doing that is because, well, the main cannon's loaded, so I can finish off the E6 if he decides to poke out. And then I'll have a fully loaded 4-shot autoloader ready to go after these guys if I need it. So we get a nice shot snapped in on the move to the M48A5, which tracked him in place. Again, you've seen, again, the gun handling is very, very good. This is without gun stabilizer. You can really see you do not need it. We try and get the lower plate there of the M48A5, and I was kind of hoping with that shot that I bounced off the M48A5 there that he would actually poke out, but he didn't. We go for the cupola shot on the E6, and that didn't pen. Just looking for the side shot there, and I can't see the side of the E6. So I decided, okay, I'm going to see if I can try and get a shot into this M48A5, because unfortunately he's now bullying my medium tank. But the E6 actually drops off his perch. We bounce off his side with 182 pen. That didn't look like it should have bounced, which is just bad RNG. But now we're stuck in a really awkward situation. There's 2 tier 10 medium tanks directly in front of us. Naturally, they're both one-shots for our main cannon, which is handy. And one of them is a one-shot for our auto cannon as well if we pen it. And with 182 pen, we can go through the lower plate of both of them. We can also go through the side of both of them as well. So we've got the capacity to go after them. We've got the hit points to take a hit. But what I'm thinking at this point is those two, if I was those two, I would go cap. I just would. That is my thought now, is these 2 guys are either going to come back through the middle to try and shoot me in the side, or they're going to cap. So what I'm going to do is hedge my bets. I'm going to hedge my bets, get back, if I can, to try and defend my cap in case they do. Because if I decide to go and cap their flag, or if I just decide to sit there waiting for them maybe to try and poke out and get a shot at me, and they do decide to cap, and both of them get in the cap, I'm never ever getting back, because this tank is so slow. You're seeing it here, and there goes the cap, just like we were thinking was going to happen. There goes the cap. One of them's hopped in, so I'm like, okay, one of them's hopped in. I need to get back. Let's go back through the middle road, because I can spot our cap from E8. I'll be able to spot our cap and put a shot in and reset from there. I won't have to cross the vast open to get there. And there goes the second. The second tank is in there, but sadly, there's a dead 4005, and I'm like, oh no. Oh no! Am I going to be able to get back? The road, I can't get past this 4005. Let me past! Okay, we've got 20 seconds left. We've loaded HE, because that way we don't have to have an awkward bounce. We just know that if we hit the E6 with this HE round, it's going to kill him, because it'll splash him to death. If we hit the 48A5, it'll just reset. We catch out the M48A5, splash him to death with the HE, it actually goes for 334, finish off the E6 with the autocannon, in the blink of an eye yet again, the damage potential of this tank, just like that. 2 kills, blink of an eye, and we save the game and finish with the victory. The 7 kills, 7,360 damage, 5.7k blocked as well. The Devastator, Top Gun, High Caliber, Defender Medal, Steel Wall, 1815 base XP. A really nice game there for the Rogal Dorn on Pearl River. Got a little bit tense in the end there. That dead wreck of the 4005 was like, no, you shall not get past me. You're not allowed to go defend the cap. You must sit here and watch that cap timer drop. And it'll be the end for you, sonny boy Jim Bob. And thankfully, Rogal Dorn used its power and pace. Yeah, power and pace. To get past the 4005. We managed to actually get back to the cap and reset, which is great, because it didn't look good for us for a minute or two there. It looked like, oh no, I'm not actually going to get past this, and I don't think I'm going to be able to reset the cap. This isn't good. But thankfully we did. And now we're on to the 5th and final replay of this video. Fair play to you if you're still with us. Shout out to all the people that are still here. And we're on to the 5th and final replay of the video on El Haloof. And like I say, if you want to claim your cookie, just go onto the Randy Duck's latest video and go, give me a cookie. Give him absolutely no context whatsoever. Just give me a cookie. I want to see how many people will do it, number one. And just freak him out, you know. Because he'll have no idea where it came from. And it'll be quite funny. But yeah. This replay on El Haloof, we're going to the place where we always want to go, and we ended up missing the shot there on the Marat, but we did get one in with the autocannon, which is, again, glorious. But we were sad to miss that first shot on the Marat there, because it's kind of sad to always miss those sorts of shots. We've got a 30B and the Marat, so the Marat on our left, the 30B on our right. I'm not going to be too bothered about the Marat at this minute. I'm going to go after this 30B, because again, the 30B, I can pen with both guns very, very easily. Oh, a CS63 is exactly the same. So we go for the tracking shot to try and track and pen that guy, but sadly, he just didn't turn quite enough to pen and track him. But once again, we just used the autocannon. And by the time we fired all the shots of the autocannon, we're not long going to be reloaded. Unfortunately, everyone's starting to pen us here. The E75 just drives out sideways on, gives us a nice shot through the side of his tank. We are getting shot in the side of the turret by the medium tanks on our left, so we've got to be very, very careful of that. I'm just waiting for the reload on both guns, because obviously once you've fired the whole autocannon, it is a little bit of a length of time to get both going again, because the autocannon does have a very long reload. I mean, the autocannon on the Rogal Dorn does have that very, very lengthy 26-second reload, which means that, like I say, if you fired all of your rounds, it's going to take you a wee while to get it back, but you have this sort of damage capacity. That's where I feel like it's a little bit too strong. Because that guy there just went, hey, it's a Rogal Dorn, got a shot into the lower plate. Oh my god, all my hit points are gone. Because I could pen it really easily with both cannons, and we're up to 3.3k damage. We went from, like, 1500 damage to 3.3k in the blink of an eye. Nearly loaded on the main cannon, hopefully going to get a shot into this E6 if I can. This is where the 7 degrees gun depression is a little bit awkward, though, coming down this ridge line. We tried to snap the shot with the autocannon into the Marat, but sadly it didn't quite go in. As we're crossing there, I was like, oh, you know what, I'll try and get after this Marat, but this guy down here tried to shoot us, and we're not allowing that. So we're going to go after this M48 120mm. But as we do that, it's like, oh, hello, Mr. Marat. That one misses, and it's like, oh, boy, we're having a moment. Oh, well, okay then, Mr. 120. I'm coming for you, boy. And we're going to basically drop down in front of him, which is a problem because, naturally, we didn't really want to be here if we could help it, but physics is physics, and we got stuck in a weird place. So we get rid of the American Tier 10 premium medium tank there with the shot through the top of his turret. Sadly, the Marat got away because, well, that shot that we took at him on the move as we were crossing went absolutely miles away. It didn't hit in the same postcode. And we're going to try and cross to get up to the top of the hills where their cap is, because that's where pretty much most of the rest of their team is. We see the Marat, though, that's trying to get shots at our TD. Can't quite find the shot into him. So we're just going to keep crossing. The light tank, the RU, tries to get a shot, and it's like, no, Mr. RU, get out my game, sir. Because once again, the gun handling is phenomenal on this vehicle, and it was just ready. We're going to turn the turret to be ready for the Marat, because I'm fully expecting the Marat to poke out and shoot us in the back. A Tyran killed our Progetto 65, which is in their cap. We also saw the Marat fire at someone else, and he is now being chased down by our medium tank and TD, and he's dead, so we don't have to worry about it. And this is where it is paying for the Rogal Dorn. We've got auto drive on. We're climbing a hill. 8 kilometers an hour. Oh my goodness me, it's very slow. We are going very, very slowly to try and get up to the top of this hill. It is most definitely a super heavy in terms of its mobility. It is atrociously immobile. I mean, at the end of the day, the turret rotation at nearly 22 degrees a second when we've got it fully equipped, and track traverse at nearly 22 degrees a second when it's fully equipped, is utterly atrocious. The mobility on this tank is awful, which is why I make the view range go up to 512 meters, because then I can outspot, or I can at least try, if something spots me, I'm most of the time going to spot it, and then I can use this fantastic gun combo to get rid of them. So we tried to get the shot into the tortoise's cupola there. Unfortunately, the shell flew straight above it, and naturally, so we didn't get the shot into him. We were never going to pen it with 182 on the autocannon, but the Tyrann drove out, gave me and the M47 a shot, and we finished it off. We bounced the other Murat that's in our spawn area. We got a shot into his drive wheel there, which tracked him in place, and we get a lot of assistance for it. We did get one shot with the autocannon into the side of the tortoise, though. We're now looking for the 4005. It's like, oh, hello, that's a 4005. I don't want to really get shot by the 4005. Thankfully, he didn't shoot at us. He did shoot the Nemesis, though. Poor Nemesis got shot down. But we did manage to get a big main cannon shell in there with the autocannon, looking for the finish on him. And sadly, we just low roll a little bit too much there to not be able to shut down the 4005. He is the last tank alive on the enemy team, and he's dropped down in front of the rest of our team. And we finished the game with, again, a really great total there for the Rogal Dorn. Once it gets into the fight, its damage potential is just immense. 3 kills, 7.9k damage, 1203 assistance. The ace tanker, the high caliber, the steel wall, the Confederate, with the 1768 basic XP. A great game for the Rogal Dorn there. It is a fantastic damage dealer. It's exceptionally slow. If people know where to pen you, your armor is worthless. But the damage potential is nutty. It's only available until 11 AM UTC tomorrow, and it's now 11,000 gold, which is still exceptionally expensive for a premium heavy tank. But if you've been waiting for that discount, that's what the Rogal Dorn's all about. I do think that that is the best gun package, and that's it for the video. So as always, everybody, thank you very much for watching. I'll see you next time.
Great success!